not an isolated incident for humanity. Alrighty, so we're going to today hear from our guest speaker, and as David introduced himself, he he's been a member of IPAN for more than a year, I think. So David is one of the people working on one of the major campaigns that IPAN is running, Make Peace a Priority. And David's going to explain his ideas for such a campaign in order to gauge how much traction there is for it amongst the membership. That is a national campaign for independence and peace. Just a little bit of background on David. From 1989 to 1997, David was marketing manager with Telstra for internet-related technologies. And from 1997 to 2009, he was a Canberra-based lobbyist, concentrating on the political and policy issues associated with new technologies. He is currently one of the representatives from Victoria on the IPAN Coordinating Committee. So over to you, David.
Okay, and what I'll do is I'll share from my second computer. Oh, okay, so I can't share at the moment because you're sharing.
Stop sharing. Didn't realize I was sharing. Go.
Okay, so theoretically, is that working?
No, not yet.
Okay, my apologies. Oh. So it takes a little time sometimes. So I first want to make a comment about IPAN and having joined IPAN, and I actually joined them around about the time that you did the People's Tribunal approach. My apologies if not having the correct title. And I tried to visit my local member who was not exactly interested. And that started me on a journey of actually thinking about why things are not given the priority that I think they should be given. So that's part of that process. IPAN provides a fantastic engine room, if you like, for what concerns me. It provides the credibility, it provides the network that we need to actually get our message across. The IPAN has been consistent voice, and it's really that history and that national coordination, which I think makes IPAN unique. So this is what I'm talking about. Make Peace a Priority is not an independent campaign, but it is positioned a little bit independently, and I'll explain why. And it comes down to sorry, I'm just trying to something that Joe Camilleri said, and he made a comment which is on the screen in front of you, and that is that there are so many people who are absolutely passionate about peace and about their priorities, and very few, and we all pursue our own campaigns, our own issues, and we don't necessarily talk to each other. His word was that we're all in our own silos. And I think Joe put his hand on it very, very significantly. So Make Peace a Priority is a campaign which is part of IPAN, but it is actually not tackling any particular issue. It's not tackling AUKUS. It's not tackling Gaza. Obviously it supports all those things, but it is actually trying to change the way in which policies decisions are made. So what we're trying to do is embed peace as a part of the framework where policy is made and where people address policy issues. And if you talk to a politician, they don't see peace as important because none of their electors tell them that it is. But if you talk to the electors, their issue is that peace is important, but they don't know how they could do anything, or they don't know how they could have any impact. So it's about actually trying to convince people that it's important and they can have an impact. Well, sorry, they all believe it's important, but it's a matter of how they can actually achieve that peace. So it's a communication campaign. It is about that. It is to try and make that as an overarching principle by which all policies are measured and decided. It also recognises one other fundamental truth. If you have a bucket of money, you will have lots of people with their snout in the trough. And this is partially AUKUS. It becomes almost impossible when you have premiers who are encouraged by the development that will occur in their states, by unionists who love the idea of the jobs, by industrialists who are going to make money out of it. It becomes very, very difficult to take that on as head on. So this really is trying to change the framework by which these decisions are made. The focus for this in the initial term is two things. One is the 125th anniversary of the first day of sitting of the Australian Parliament. And this was, attention was brought to me for this date by Russell Rawlinson, who's a member of Australian Peace, to forget what, APSW, I think it is, but he's brought this to my attention, and it's actually a perfect date for a campaign. Remembering as part of the conference for IPAN is going to be at the end of July, and just at the same time as the ALP National Conference. The ALP has a triennial conference where they decide they decide the platform for the next 3 years. And that is obviously fundamental then to their to the way they go forward and the directions they take. So we have a unique opportunity. We have a historical occurrence occurring, which is on May the 9th, 2026. We have the ALP conference, and it is a combination of both of those that hopefully enables IPAN to actually try and change the playing field so that actually peace make peace a priority is exactly and sums up what we're trying to do. So the 125th anniversary, it's a vehicle for unity, if you like. It is a single overarching umbrella in which we can combine peace, environmental, social justice groups. I am targeting, for instance, the environmental groups because they need to focus on peace. Without peace, environment is going to be destroyed. So I think by centering on this 125th anniversary, we center our efforts, and this gives us a legitimacy, a powerful platform leading to the ALP conference where we can demand a reevaluation of Australia's foreign policy. The date is significant. If we think about why, 9th of May 1901, that was the Federal Parliament at the Exhibition Buildings, the first day. It was the same day, 9th of May 1927, that Parliament in Canberra was opened, the so-called temporary Parliament House. The permanent Parliament House again was opened on the same date. So they have a very, very, very clear historical significance. There is some thought that this actually should be Australia Day. And I think it's a thought that I actually hope gains some traction. I think the other thing is that we can tackle the fact that independence, we started with 1901, and there's been these developments since, and it's time we actually developed that independent perception, independent status. So looking at the historical legitimacy, the democratic accountability, it's 120 years of Parliament, yet we're still committed to defending our allies at any cost to ourselves. The strategic timing, that's to do with the ALP National Conference, and it really is unfinished business. The true independence requires also that treaty with the First Nations. And there are so many things that we can say about it. I mean, how can we be independent apart from our willingness to go to war and fight for others? We have foreign military bases on our soil, AUKUS, no meaningful parliamentary debate, no public consultation. So this is what I'm trying to do is a maximalist, what we're trying to do. I'm sorry, I'm using I, and I don't mean to. When we talk about this, this could be as simple as a conversation at the Crossroads event held near the exhibition buildings with perhaps speakers and talkers as a conversation at the Crossroads event, Joe Clamelleri's group, style event with Zoom things. But it could be Canberra. Canberra should be involved. It should involve the other states. They've all got their own issues and their own concerns they can bring to such an event. The only concern I've got is that Sydney, if Sydney thinks it's a Melbourne-centred event, they might not be quite as keen. So that's, but I would love to see a national event taking part. So if in terms of actually what we're doing now, we've got a group together which is fairly broad. We've got a group of people from, including Friends of the Earth, including various peace groups, who are coming together to think about how we could develop it, how we could actually resource this. A large part of this is actually outreach to the environmental groups who have got younger people. And also within that, the Palestinian groups are another set of groups that we should get involved. So what we're looking to do, and I'm sorry, I keep using the I, what we're looking to do is to bring so many people into this. They can run their own event. There is no ownership of this. As long as it's under the umbrella of independence and peace, there is their own particular issue can be front and centre for them. In terms of actually bringing them together, we're trying to create, this will all lead to a focus towards that conference. I'm sorry if I'm using my hands, I forget I'm on screen. What we're trying to do at the moment is use the months December, January for resource development, and to build that coalition. February, March, April, we'll start the campaign for individuals briefing their own members of parliament. And then the anniversary itself can be a coordinated national event. And if we do it properly, it can be a massive show of public support. The real policy leverage, of course, comes with the ALP conference in Adelaide, which is where the party platform will be decided for the next few years. So what I want to do is what we want to do is create momentum to generate to ensure our demands are on the ALP agenda. There are people inside the ALP who will support this, and we're having discussions with those as we go. So I think the opportunity is fantastic. The timing is great for us. We're asking for something very, very, very simple. Initially, what we want is a change in the signal, a change in the way that we can, a very simple change for the government, something that doesn't cost them votes, doesn't mean that they have a fight with any of their stakeholders. What we're asking for is very simple. Expand for this particular program, it's expand the Minister for International Development role to include peace building. It's to consolidate all areas that are spread over foreign affairs into one area that's working on peace. And it's to increase our resourcing for conflict prevention.
Ready.
These are achievable.
David, I'm just wondering if we can go to questions and discussion at this stage. Have you got any more slides that you wanted to show?
No, that's about it. So I'm happy to turn off my screen and go to slides. So I think I've said everything that's needed, probably longer than I needed to.
No, that's all good. Thanks very much. It's certainly you've outlined quite a comprehensive outline of this project and what you're aiming to achieve. So I guess the first thing I will do is ask anyone who has questions or interest and who would like to join David and other people who are working on this project to do a lot of the work in as soon as possible, I would see that is necessary, David, yeah?
Absolutely. There is the initial work is who has contact with particularly Palestinian groups, who has contact with environmental groups, who has contact with youth, because we can't do it on our own. We need these people. We need to bring these people in. So really it's about what avenues do we have to bring these people into supporting this vision.
Thanks. Bev's got a hand up.
Thank you, David. That was really interesting. I loved what you were talking about. It is a very short lead-in time because we do have the Christmas break, obviously. But I can see how you're trying to integrate existing groups rather than starting from scratch, which is fantastic. My question to you is this slide deck that you've just shown us is very comprehensive and it comes up with a sort of strategy, which I think is really useful. Is it possible for, how would you like to proceed? Do you want us to send something to the people we know with a kind of briefing on what this is, or just pass on contacts, or what is the suggested interaction you'd like from people?
Yeah, I have a two-page brochure or a one-page printed on both sides, which has been around the traps and refined. So it is a synopsis of our views. I'm more than happy to share that slide pack with anyone. So absolutely more than happy. There is also a website which is mpap.au, where we're trying to build to and make this accessible. This is trying to make this inclusive, as inclusive as we possibly can, so that we get people. There is a very, very simple and broad ask, and underneath it are all the multiple campaigns, which we all individually support, but sometimes cause us to lose focus on any overarching aim.
So if I may have a follow-up, is that all right?
Yep, that's fine.
If the one question I'd like to quite often when you talk to different groups, they like to do their own thing, so you might risk that fragmentation again. Are we looking to have several events just on the one day, or try and bring the groups together into one big event on the one day, or to build one campaign together?
It would be ideal if it was one campaign, but there is absolutely no issue if someone wants to, the ideal would be if we had a variety of different workshops going on those different things, and we could provide a framework for that to exist. So that would be the ideal. If it was a smaller event, a single event, then we might have 3 or 4 speakers addressing the different topics. We might have people from the different organisations, but if people turned up with banners, and those banners were pro-Palestine or anti-AUKUS or whatever they happen to be, we all support those causes. So it is just that overarching banner, and the only reason that we've got the concept and the idea is just that the realization that if we fight these battles, we might even win a battle, but that doesn't win a war. And we need to change the framework. We need to change the way people perceive things.
Thanks, David. What comes to my mind is the final report of the IPAN inquiry into following US wars, and the title of it is about changing course. And, in fact, given this opportunity at this particular date, 125th year, I guess that's really what I would think. This is a wake-up time. Think about the last 125 years of history and the challenges of what we face into the future, and look to the necessary changing course in the country to meet those challenges. Anyway, they're the things that are on my mind, and I wondered why you aren't having it in Canberra as the Parliament of Australia. It would sort of seem logical to me to hold it in Old Parliament House or in the new Parliament House or whatever. Yeah.
It would be fantastic if we did that. It is purely that the exhibition building creates that first date, and the excuse I have, and because that's where I am located, so I have support, and also Joe Camilleri is here, and Rita and whatever, so there is support here. But what should happen, what ideally would happen, is we should, if a parallel event running in Canberra would be fantastic. There is no reason we can't share screens or whatever at those events, but more importantly would be to actually have a delegation or people, the like-minded people in Parliament, certainly, along with maybe a delegation leading up to this date or a delegation after the date. So that would be fantastic. But if I started with that aim, we would never get anywhere.
All right. David, can you put your email address in the chat so anyone who would like to come on board and with this project, they can contact you? And are there any other questions or comments from people before we move on? Yes, Andrew. You're muted at the moment.
David, you listed various events in various cities. Tell us more about that, please.
Okay, this depends very much on the local groups and the local support and what can be organised. So if we can bring a coalition of national groups together, there no doubt will be other people in your, like Friends of the Earth and whatever. So it would be good to bring those together in your city, but it depends on what can be organised by people in the city itself.
Yep, thanks, David. Yeah, that answers it. Bob.
Thanks, David, for the presentation. I can't help thinking that this needs something more pointed in the way of goals for people to focus on and mobilise around than a reorganisation of the role of a junior minister and a reprioritisation within foreign affairs. That's not going to grab enough people to turn them on to doing stuff around this. I appreciate you going for the overall sort of strategic vibe within government rather than simply an assemblage of minor issues. But there's got to be a sort of meeting point in the middle of all that, where it's possible to identify a few really key issues that have fairly immediate resonance with a large number of people who are very pissed off around AUKUS and things of that sort, because I don't think they're going to be grabbed by the notion of a simple though it is, reorganisation of purely governmental priorities the way you're talking about. And I'm not sure what that compromise would be to get people mobilised, but I think it needs a look.
Thanks. I'll take Shanaz's question first before David, you respond.
Thanks, David. I really like the idea of this campaign. I agree with what you said, Annette, but it also links into what you're saying, Bob, that the document we produced, the inquiry, it's a good idea to link the title, parts of that title, to this campaign because it's about ways forward. We've done that up to now. So this is how we work forward with that idea. Bob, a lot of how we go about this and what groups do is already in that document. The eight areas of interest are already focused areas, and we've already spoken to politicians about this. So we know there are pathways forward to be able to access parliamentarians. But more than anything, we do need some presentation outside of the front of Parliament on the day to draw the national attention to it. Anything you put it outside of the front of Parliament in connection to that will go on the national news. So it's important that the Parliament be a centre in this campaign. But I like the idea that all the groups do what suits them and how they work best.
Thanks, Shanaz. I see David is sharing another slide. This is our priority, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, David, you've got 5 minutes to respond to those points, and then we'll move on to the rest of the meeting.
Hopefully I won't take 5 minutes, but I always say that. The emphasis is not on neutering anyone or diminishing any major campaign. I'm as part of this. I mean, I think we should focus on AUKUS, but we should recognise that it's a very, very, very difficult fight. So I think there is people who have their own, and organisations that have their own perspectives. The anti-AUKUS coalition is obvious. The bases, anti-bases coalition, whatever it happens to be, they're all come under. But in terms of the government, what we can put to the government is how to actually try and change their position. And initially, it's not going to cost them a lot to do it. So that's why that softly approach. But if we get peace elevated, if we get an actual group, a bureaucratic group, even so, pushing for peace, if we get those things actually operating, we start making that something where decisions are actually evaluated rather than does this support our stakeholders?
Okay.
So that's, yeah.
Very good. Thanks, David. And we've got Martha has her hand up.
Oh, thank you. You talk about the different forces that could be brought together. And what is not clear to me is, have you got these representatives of these forces on your committee already? Because to hold an event and say, come, it needs to be from the inside of them. I think they need to be part of making the event.
Friends of the Earth are actually with us already, which is great. And we've got, I think if Jonathan's around, he's probably better than I am at remembering, but we have probably about 10 or 12 groups. But the problem with a lot of peace groups is our problem. We're all not young. So it is actually getting enough people and enough contacts and enough people with strategy to actually help put this together. Now, I think we're doing it, but the quicker we can do it and the more people that we can get helping us, quicker we will get bringing that. And Jonathan's just shared a note there with the various groups.
And we're trying to get more. For example, where David's been trying to contact the Australian Republican movement, I've also put in a message to the Australian Democracy Network. Got an initial response. They'll look out for the email, but they haven't responded to the email that David sent them yet. But yeah, we're trying to cast the net quite wide and continuing to build a strong kind of base of support, which is it's only going to work with a really strong cohort of like-minded organisations.
Yeah, at the very, very minimum, we can do an event, a small event with a couple of hundred people, with a couple of speakers in Melbourne. But it should be, and could be so much more than that. And we want it to be everyone who's involved in the peace movement, whatever their particular objective is.
All right. Well, thanks very much, David, for giving us the picture. And